As we all know, SpaceX has been making this Falcon Heavy, a heavy lift launch vehicle that can be used more than once. The rocket has a center core made from a Falcon 9 first stage, 2 strap-on boosters made from Falcon 9 first stages, and a second stage on top. The Falcon Heavy can carry the most weight of any launch vehicle that is currently in use. It also has the third highest payload capacity of any rocket that has ever reached orbit, after the Saturn V and the Energia. And on February 6, 2014, SpaceX launched their new Falcon Heavy rocket at NASA's Kennedy Space Center. In a big show for the media, they sent a midnight cherry red Tesla Roadster into space as a test payload. Interestingly, the rocket can carry more than 140,000 pounds of cargo into low Earth orbit, which is much more than anyone has ever asked them to do for business. It is the most powerful working rocket in the world, and the fans will get to see another Falcon Heavy launch later this month after 3 years of waiting. So, what's new? What should the fans expect from the new Falcon Heavy launch? Welcome to Smarter Tech, where we analyze what's happening in our technology world. And without further ado, let's get started! As early as 2003, people talked about the ideas for a Falcon Heavy launch vehicle with 3 Falcon 1 core boosters and a payload to LEO capacity of about 2 tons. In 2005, the Falcon 9 Heavy was the name for the idea of 3 core booster stages for the company's Falcon 9, which had not yet flown. And in April 2011, SpaceX showed the public the plans for the Falcon Heavy at a news conference in Washington, D.C. The planned first flight didn't happen until 2018, 5 years later than planned. 2 problems with Falcon 9 launch vehicles caused all engineering resources to be used to figure out what went wrong, which stopped flights for many months. Putting together 3 Falcon 9 cores was much harder than expected in terms of structure and integration. As late as June 2022, the Falcon Heavy was only 3 or 4 months away from being able to launch again after what seemed like a never-ending stream of delays that affected almost all of the rocket's payloads. The rocket was almost ready to be put together at the time. So, what happened? Before we continue, hold up. If you're watching us for the first time, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you can enjoy our future videos while getting updated. Getting back to the topic, well, NASA said at the end of the month that the Jet Propulsion Laboratory and supplier Maxar had not finished qualifying the software needed to power its Psyche spacecraft. The mission was designed to go to the asteroid 16 Psyche and orbit around it. And because of the complicated path needed to get there, it could only be launched between August and October. But since JPL and Maxar couldn't test the spacecraft software well enough in time for that window, they had to stop and wait until the next earliest window, which was to start in 2023. But the Falcon Heavy's single most delayed payload seems to have made progress, giving the world's most powerful rocket at least one more chance to launch in 2022. Spaceflight now broke the news that an unnamed industry partner had finally fixed the payload problems that had put the military's USSF-44 mission back by 2 years. This was the latest in a great series of reports about Falcon Heavy's never-ending delays in sending US military payloads into space. More importantly, the USSF spokeswoman said the target date is October 28th. The US military has repeatedly given unrealistic launch dates for USSF-44 with little or no official explanation for the mission's delays. This makes it reasonable to treat any specific launch date like a boy crying wolf. But this particular goal, announced in the same month as its due date, is a little easier to believe. It's a good thing that it's not by itself. October 7, SpaceX sent out an email saying that Falcon Heavy would launch USSF-44 sometime in October and asking media members to sign up for press site access and remote camera setup opportunities. The rocket may have problems and cause more delays, but still a press accreditation email is about as close as possible to a credible guarantee that a secret US military payload is on track for a SpaceX launch planned for more than a week. So what's their current plan? Falcon Heavy will be put together in SpaceX's main hangar at the NASA Kennedy Space Center LC-39A pad. This will be the next big step in the mission. Earlier this month, SpaceX released photos of preparations for Crew 5, Falcon 9's 8th successful crew launch, revealing that at least 2 of the 4 main stages that comprise Falcon Heavy are already within the hangar. On September 30th, it was easy to see one of the two new Falcon Heavy side boosters. And now, after 40 months, the rocket might finally take off again. If it does, it will likely be on SpaceX's hardest customer mission to date. USSF-44 will also use a Falcon Heavy booster for the first time. This is because the mission requires a high level of performance. The two new side boosters of the rocket will fly back to Florida and land next to each other at LZ-1 and LZ-2, but the new center core will only work for one flight. Now, you might be wondering, what are its capabilities? It can carry the most weight when the rocket flies a fully expendable launch profile and doesn't bring back any of the three first-stage boosters. Musk thinks that the payload loss would be around 10% if only the core booster was used and the two side boosters were recovered. This would still be enough to lift over 57 T to LEO. If all three boosters were brought back to the launch site instead of being put on drone ships, about 30 T of payload could be sent to LEO. But well, will the Falcon Heavy bell be reusable? From 2013 to 2016, SpaceX worked on a reusable rocket architecture for the Falcon 9 while working on parts of the Falcon Heavy. Early on, SpaceX said that it hoped all rocket stages would one day be able to be used again. Since then, SpaceX has shown that the Falcon 9 first stage can be routinely recovered on land and at sea, and they've also successfully recovered multiple payload fairings. In a Falcon Heavy launch, the two outer cores separate from the rocket earlier than in a Falcon 9 launch. This means that they are moving slower than in a Falcon 9 launch. SpaceX thought about trying to get the second stage back from the first flight of the Falcon Heavy, but didn't go through with this plan. But well, SpaceX has already finished changing Pad 39A's mobile transporter or erector, which used to be set up for single-core Falcon 9 rockets. The T and E will eventually roll into the pad's integration hangar. This will show the Falcon Heavy has been fully put together and is about to be installed on the structure. The rocket will then be rolled out to the launch pad and set upright for static fire testing. This process will likely start at least a week before the current launch date of October 28th. If the tests go well, Falcon Heavy will return to the hangar, get its fairing and USSF-44 payload put on, and roll out one last time to the pad. So, do you think the launch will take place this year? And will it be successful as expected? Comment down below. Also, please leave a like and subscribe. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell for more amazing videos. Goodbye!